Welcome back to the channel. I am Ashley Tess, and today it is April 2020. What's going on in the world? Coronavirus. So you're thinking, what do I do now? How is everything going to be changing? Especially teaching. As you know, everything is going digital. Well, that is what we're going to be talking about today. How to start teaching online. What are the pros and cons? Stay tuned. Let me first say that I have done both, teaching in the brick and mortar and teaching virtually online. And with anything, there is both pros and cons to each. So you're thinking, what are the pros of teaching online versus teaching in a brick and mortar? So let's just jump to it. Let's start with the obvious pro about teaching online. That is teaching anywhere in the world with your laptop and a stable internet connection. Before 2020 happened, people were traveling around the world and literally teaching anywhere around the world using their laptops. They were traveling Europe, Asia, Africa, anywhere in the world. And all you needed was just your laptop and internet to start teaching online. And that was very convenient. It was kind of like the laptop lifestyle. But let's face it, it's 2020 now. You have a pro of teaching from your quarantine home. Yes, pretty fun, right? Okay, teaching from home is great. You don't have to pack a lunch. You don't have to figure out what you're going to wear every day. You don't have to go and drive in traffic. You don't have to do morning duty, dismissal duty. Come on, teachers, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so what is another pro about teaching online? Well, another pro is that most of the time you can create your own schedule about when you want to teach. But there is a catch. Depending on what company you choose to teach for, or if you're a freelancer who teaches and tutors, you kind of have a different way of scheduling how you teach. If you're teaching with a company, say especially an ESL company, most of the time there's only certain hours of the day that they have hours you can teach with. So that kind of limits your availability. But with those given hours, you can usually pick and choose which hours you want to teach. But if you're a freelance teacher or tutor, you can basically make your own schedule and try to come up with a schedule that works with you and your students. How many of you teachers would spend hours looking on Teachers Pay Teachers or other websites to try to find curriculum, try to find assignments for your students, and would spend hours and hours a day just trying to find something that would keep them busy? Well, there are a lot of companies out there. If you teach with them or tutor with them, they can provide curriculum for you that is already set up. All the lessons are made. All you have to do is just look over them before you start teaching. But if you are a freelancer, obviously, you have to make your own curriculum. But nowadays, there are so many other websites and different resources on the internet that can make your life easier. Just try to find some curriculum that you can use that is beneficial for your students. You might have to spend a little money on this if you are a freelance teacher, tutor online, but hey, it should still be worth it. Another great pro about teaching online is that you don't have to teach the main subjects that you see every day online for job postings. I know most of you think, okay, I have to teach math, I have to teach English, ESL online, but not necessarily. I've seen posts on different websites looking for coding teachers, music teachers, art teachers, even dance teachers online where people are still trying to learn lessons. Especially today, 2020, everyone's quarantine, cooped up and maybe they want to try to learn something new. So there are websites out there. You can make a profile. You can show what area you are specialized in to teach. You usually make a profile that shows what is your hourly rate, which is really helpful to start making that money. This video is all about why you should start teaching online. So you have been waiting and watching this video because, let's face it, it's all about money, right? How does the pay work? What is the pay really like for teaching online? Well, there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of, you need to think about. So there are different schools, there's different companies, there's different websites you can choose to work for. So there are some K-12 schools, K-12 companies, kindergarten through high school, that have licensed teachers teaching online, and they are regular schools. So in a regular school, you should still get your salary that you would get in a brick and mortar school, but everything is just virtual. Same thing, but you cut out lunch duty, you cut out dismissal, you cut out recess. Is that a pro? Maybe, maybe not for you. For me, maybe it is. Another thing to think about besides having different schools, there's also different companies, tutoring companies, that would tutor K-12 subjects, your basic math, reading for kindergarten all the way up to high school, and all of this is done virtually. The pay with these, normally if you are a licensed teacher with experience, normally you should be able to make at least 15, probably up to 30, 35 an hour, depending on the company. There are different, usually on Indeed, you can search Indeed.com, you can find some postings. A quick Google search might come up with some opportunities to tutor students in those types of areas. Let's talk about the most popular that I'm sure everyone has seen about teaching online, with teaching ESL. Teaching ESL is a whole different ballgame. Speaking of which, that will be my next video coming up soon. So if you're interested in teaching ESL, stay tuned. I will have a video for that coming up. But ESL, the pay, benefits, usually you can make between anywhere from $15 an hour to maybe $20, $25 an hour on the high end. But not all ESL companies are the same. Do your research. There are some that you can make on the low end $5, $10 an hour. High end, 18 to 25 an hour is usually the average. Do your research. But if you think about it, calculate how many hours you actually teach in a brick and mortar classroom. When do you get there? When do you leave? Think about all of the extracurricular activities you have to do in a brick and mortar school. Calculate how many hours a week you're actually working. And then think about how much money per hour you're actually making in a brick and mortar school versus if you do teach online, how much per hour you'd be making. Pretty surprising if you actually do the math. Think about it. Okay, so another pro that you have been probably thinking about is about all the types of people, the children, even adults you get to meet online and actually teach and help learn. If you think about it, some teachers, you don't like dealing with classroom management. That's okay. That's not everyone's thing. If you're teaching online, most of the time you're really teaching one-on-one with a student, or in a group, maybe 1 to 4, 1 to 6 per group. Classroom management, yes, you still need it, but think about your classroom management in a classroom with 30 students. It's going to be different than classroom management with one-on-one or a group of 1 to 4 students. You get to build relationships with your students. A lot of the companies, you have the same students every week, more than once a week. So you can build those deep relationships where you get to enjoy teaching, especially if you're trying to teach a subject that is not maybe traditional, like coding or a music lesson. You get to build those types of relationships to help students and make them feel really great. A lot of the time with teaching ESL, you are teaching students from all over the world. You get to learn about other cultures, and there are some companies that you can teach children all the way up to adults, which is kind of great. Sometimes we may want to prefer teaching adults versus children. And some companies, you can choose that preference. So that could be a pro for some of you. And I think all of those sound like wonderful pros. You should definitely try teaching online. It can be a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie. If you're so used to teaching in a brick and mortar classroom, it is kind of awkward at first. Practice. The more you practice, you will feel more comfortable teaching in front of a screen versus teaching in front of a classroom. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed all of the wonderful pros about teaching online. Stay tuned if you are interested about learning more about finding the right company, finding the right school to teach for. Thinking about a virtual K-12 school versus an ESL company. What's the difference? How do they work? All that good stuff. That will be in a video coming up soon. So if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can learn all about working from home, making money online, affiliate marketing. Hope to see you next time.